Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we'll recap the Masters Tournament in Augusta, discuss Marquise Bell's arrests, the Seton Hall transfer portal, and a link between the NBA and chess. Stay with us for Anchor Point as we will have a fierce debate between Sam Stinson and Wilgo Hooley. Lastly, we will wrap up with Deckside Chats featuring Anthony Vega and Cameron Price. My name is Paul Bergola, and welcome to Hall Zone. The Masters has wrapped up this past weekend, and our winner has broken history. The green jacket this past Sunday was awarded to Rory McIlroy, who held a solid lead with a 12-under score. The Northern Irish 36-year-old fought tooth and nail to hold his position when faced with adversity from his competitors. Originally, McIlroy held a great lead on Saturday with a 6-shot lead that put him high above the competition. McIlroy, however, lost that lead when players such as Cameron Young and Justin Rose started to close the gap between them. This made the game challenging for McIlroy as he fluctuated between scoring pars, birdies, bogeys, and even a double bogey. With so many players neck and neck, McIlroy was looking forward to staying on top and to take the crown once again. Yet the course provided challenging towards the end with his 13-under lead after slicing the ball into the trees on the 18th hole. McIlroy placed himself in a bad position, noting to his caddy about the drive that, quote, "I think we were both just hoping that my ball wasn't in a really bad spot or behind the tree. I was just hoping I had a swing," end quote. What didn't help was that Scottie Scheffler loomed behind him with his score of 11 under. Scheffler kept the pressure, and McIlroy had to follow up. With his shot in the woods, followed by a swing into the bunker, McIlroy managed to recover with a bogey on the green. This brought him to a score of 12 under. And gave him the edge to win. This victory made McIlroy the first back-to-back champion in over a decade since Tiger Woods back in 2001 to 2002. He became the fourth player in Masters history to make this feat happen alongside Jack Nicklaus, Nick Faldo, and Tiger Woods. This etches McIlroy into Masters history for achieving this remarkable feat. Swinging on over to the NFL, there's been an interesting turn of events down in the suburbs of Prosper, Texas. Cowboys safety Marquise Bell has been arrested this past weekend. The safety was charged with a felony for possession of controlled substance and a Class B misdemeanor for marijuana possession in his car. A Prosper police officer pulled Bell over in his vehicle when he noticed a foul odor. The officer has searched Bell's car and found 2 ounces of marijuana alongside a THC electronic cigarette. He was then promptly arrested and charged. Bell's arrest would be subjected to a penalty by the NFL for violating the league's personal conduct policy. As for his own team, the Cowboys have yet to respond. For now, Bell's legal team is opting to continue with the legal process. Bell's agent, Derek Jackson, believes that they will, quote, "certainly let Marquise have his day like anyone else," end quote. The safety is entering his second season with the Cowboys after striking a 3-year, $9 million deal and has spent 4 seasons with the team so far. He was picked up by the Cowboys as a free agent back in 2022. During the last season, the Cowboys started him in 3 out of the 17 games and made 34 tackles, which include a sack, a pass deflection, and applied pressure. He is also credited to have made 10 special teams tackles. It is uncertain as of now if this arrest will have an impact on his contract. For now, Bell's future with the Cowboys is unknown. Coming up, the transfer portal has been turning heads for Seton Hall students. We'll be right back.
Was it rolling?
Oh yeah, that was great.
The transfer portal has been turning up in a span of a few days. The Seton Hall basketball portal has seen some interesting development, with several players on the team intending the transfer. Sophomore forward Goswell Ariaran, freshman forward Nani Hines, and junior guard Tuan Simpkins, and junior guard Adam Butt Clark and Jacob Darr are all intending to enter the portal. These notable transfers sure are a surprise, with Clark's transfer being a major highlight. The 5'10" guard brought a lot of energy to the Hall's games and made an impact on the court with this 31-point best on February 11th with the Hall's 87-80 victory against the Providence Friars. Coach Shaheen Holloway noted how, quote, he played with the passion and the heart and the determination that, I kind of played with, end quote. Clark averaged team highs of 12.7 points and 4.9 assists per game while shooting 43.7% from the field. Clark had the most points on the team with a total of 418 points and 156 field goals made. He had a massive impact on the team. While the Hall had lost some valuable players, the team is sure to pick up some new recruits. The Hall has landed a new member for their team, Simeon Wilcher. Wilcher is a 6'4" guard hailing from the Texas Longhorns. During his time with the Longhorns, Wilcher has averaged 5.6 points with 1.6 rebounds and 1.7 assists per game. He is sure to help Seton Hall with shooting from the field and even be on the arc. Wilcher's decision to go to Seton Hall is a full circle moment for the player. He originally played in the Big East with St. John's before he transferred to Texas. It goes to show how the pendulum swings, with Wilcher making his return to the Big East. This is a great pickup for the Hall, with their other guards intending to enter the portal. For now, we will look forward to see what will happen and who could be circulating in the transfer portal. Passing the ball over to the NBA, there's been a connection recently between the basketball and chess. Several NBA players have taken an interest in the game, be it playing with passerbys out in the open or even use the game for training. Some players even have bots that people can challenge on chess.com, such as Luka Doncic, Jaylen Brown, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. This sudden popularity of the sport stems from how players use it to train themselves. NBA star Giannis Antetokounmpo voices that chess helps him learn to think ahead. Much like basketball, chess is all about being able to predict your opponent's next move. This approach has helped players like Antetokounmpo to anticipate a rival player's next move. He notes that it has helped hone him to face players such as LeBron James, saying that, quote, I played against him a lot of times, so I was just thinking ahead, just to position myself to be more successful at the play, end quote. It's a silent passion that many players share a fondness over. NBA star Victor Wembanyama publicly displayed his interest in the game 2 years ago when he challenged passerbys out in New York City out in Washington Square Park. The San Antonio Spurs star has voiced a similar opinion in how it allows players to anticipate action on the court. He notes how chess is an integral part of his training to condition himself. He often plays against other stars such as Rudy Gobert of the Minnesota Timberwolves teams, quote, almost every time their teams meet, end quote. It's a workout for the mind that carries over even in the off-season. For players such as Wembanyama, it acts as a mental reset and challenges players when they suffer from physical or mental fatigue. Chess trains their mind to be active and study their opponents to match their moves. It goes to show how chess is able to carry over from the board to the court. Stay with us after this break as we transition to Anchor Point, the official debate show of Hall Zone. I'm Paul Brignola, and this has been your Sports News Update. Hello, my name is Paul Brignola, and welcome to Anchor Point, the show where we debate the hottest topics in the sporting world. Alongside me are our fierce debaters, Sam Stinson.
Thank you for having me.
And Will Gahuli.
Glad to be here tonight.
Let's get started with our first question. Who is most likely to win the championship in their career, Donovan Mitchell or Anthony Edwards? Will, take the first shot.
So last year, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves walked into potentially the greatest series hyped up in the playoffs last year. The Wolves were set to take on arguably the GOAT LeBron James and MVP candidate Luka Doncic in a series with the Lakers. But what ended up happening was a 24-year-old with a $200 million contract came into LA and whooped some butt. The Wolves ended up winning that series 4-1 and sent the Lakers packing. They go on to beat Jokic and the Nuggets in a thrilling series and eventually meet their demise in the Western Conference Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But that's not who I'm talking about. I think Edwards has by far the better chance of winning a championship in his career because, one, he's so young, and two, his numbers have just only gotten better as time has gone on. His scoring numbers have increased from 19 to 21 to 25 to 26 to 28 to 29. Not to mention the West. If you make it out of there, there's no doubt he's more battle-tested. And the other reason why I like the Wolves in this a lot more, especially with Edwards' case, the Wolves have have pushed to be more dedicated towards supplying Edwards in the future. There have already been a lot of rumors. CBS Sports put a report out a couple of days ago that the team is very interested in moving on from Julius Randle in search of a long-term answer at point guard. Ayo Dosunmu has expressed interest in signing long-term with the Timberwolves, but the Wolves at one point were the top suitor for Giannis at the trade deadline, and all reports as per ESPN say they are the top favorite to get him in the offseason, and there's no doubt they have the capital. They retained their pick this year. In addition, Julius Randle is likely to move on from the team this year. They have a lot of young talent like Terrence Shannon and Dosunmu, as already mentioned, and I like their chances at upgrading a lot more. Cleveland is all in right now. They go get James Harden. I feel like if they don't make it out of the East in the next few years, their time might be running out.
You make some great points there. Before I get into Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell has a fantastic team around him, and I think he's in a great position and situation to win a championship. I think back to the James Harden trade. This James Harden-Darius Garland trade might be the most even trade between two teams in all of sports.
Yeah.
Both of them have significantly improved from when they were before. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell like to play the one spot a lot, and I just don't think it would have worked with both of them being on the same court. Now you're here or there. James Harden is still James Harden. Obviously, he's not going to be in his 2017, 2018 MVP form where he was averaging 40, but he's still a great scorer in my opinion. He's still a great basketball player. Evan Mobley, defensive player of the year caliber player who averages 18 points and 9 rebounds. He is so skillful. Evan Mobley is so good. Every single time I watch him, I'm fascinated by him. Jared Allen is another fundamentally great big. Obviously, he's not as great as Evan Mobley, but he's still a great starting big. The Cavs currently have 7 players averaging 10 points or more. Efficiently, they score a lot. Even if some players are not having great nights, they can still score a lot of points. So situationally, I believe Donovan Mitchell is a better spot to win a championship. The East, you've mentioned the East and the struggling or comparison to the West, that the East is not that great. I agree with you, but that means they could probably make the finals more likely. And yes, the West.
What's going to happen when they get there, though? That's the thing.
Yes, you are right. The West is significantly better than the East, but I think they have a better chance if they build up their team currently. I think they have a great situation going on. Anthony Edwards, people acting like he's the second coming of Michael Jordan. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think he's a great basketball player, but when you're the best player on your team, you need leadership qualities. Anthony Edwards doesn't have a lick of leadership in him.
Tell me who he's beat in the playoffs before you talk about
He's made 2
leadership.
Western Conference Finals. And
Tell me who he's beat.
I can tell you that he's been to 2 Western Conference Finals and has gone
Shea,
4-1 gentleman's sweep both times. He can't win. He can't do anything in the playoffs. I'm sorry.
But
he just
Donovan
can't.
Mitchell hasn't proven that point that he can even get to the conference finals is the main thing I'm concerned about. Donovan Mitchell has had chances. Last year was probably their easiest chance to get there. I know they had a lot of injury problems, but the East has been weak. They would not have had to go through they would not have to have gone through Boston. Like last year was their time to make a run. And when you have that group of young talent, Darius Garland was at his top of his game last year. And if you go, they got James Harden. They have signaled that they're all in. Minnesota has not yet signaled that. Minnesota has capital to go get bigger pieces in the offseason, and I'd say their window is still open far longer than Cleveland is. And also Anthony Edwards is definitely way more open than Donovan Mitchell in terms of age. He's only 25 years old. His numbers have just only gotten better.
I think that Anthony Edwards has had opportunities to be, yes, he's very young. He has a lot of time to improve and develop as a player. He's had a lot of great players around him, and they just haven't had the success that they should have. I think back to the time they had Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, and now Julius Randle for the Karl Anthony Towns trade. He has very talented players around him. He just can't. I don't see them performing in the playoffs. They have to. We're going to talk about about this year's playoffs a little bit, but Minnesota has to go. They're going against the Nuggets in the first round. If they win that, they have to go against the Spurs in Wemby. If they somehow win that, they have to go against the Thunder. Anthony Edwards has to get the heck out of the West if he wants any chance of winning a championship.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I just feel like, is it really that ridiculous that they couldn't make a run? they're always one of the best defensive teams. They're a top 10 defensive rated team right now. And you see, they've proven they can beat the Nuggets before. I know this year's Nuggets team is a bit of a step ahead of last year. I think they did a great job of going and adding a bunch of pieces. But what Denver struggles to do a lot, they aren't as physically aggressive on Edwards. Edwards is arguably one of the most athletic players in the entire league, and he used that last year to bite them. They have trouble defending him when he goes on the drive, and they don't have the quick guards to switch off and guard against it. Like, can Jamal Murray really take on Anthony Edwards?
Ooh, if it's playoff Jamal Murray is a different breed in my opinion. I think I think he's a fantastic basketball player when it's not in the regular season. I just can't get over the fact that like the Western Conference is just so stacked, insanely stacked. And he's just got to get out of the West to win a championship.
You guys both talk about how you guys hope your players can league, but realistically, let's talk here for a second. Do you think your players have a chance of winning?
I'm going to start off by saying absolutely not. I think that there's way too much talent across the league. I think Anthony Edwards has a chance to make the finals at some point, especially in his career. I just don't think it's going to be this year because there's a lot of talent in the West right now. Shea is at the top of his game right now. Wemby is rising. The Spurs, I just don't think that the Wolves are a great matchup for those teams. The Wolves play through the paint a lot. I mean, no doubt, Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo, these are great three-point specialists. But the problem is the Thunder and the Spurs are by far the two best defensive teams in the NBA, and they do such a good job of holding the outside and, more importantly, the perimeter. Wemby and Chet are probably the two best defensive players in the NBA. Also, I just don't see any possible way for anyone besides those two making it out of the West.
Yeah, I'm going to use a Justin Bieber term real quick and say never. I think we're not going to know what these teams are going to, or what these players are going to do 10 years down the line. They could be in a very good situation. They could be in a championship winning situation. I think right now I don't see these players winning a championship, especially this year or in the next 2-3 years. They're going to have to both improve their situation. I mentioned, obviously, Edwards leaving the West. Donovan Mitchell, I mean, the East is kind of open at some point. I mean, like the Jason Tatum injury, I mean, him coming back now, I don't think they have a chance against Boston. But the East has had gaps where it's open in the season. So I think as I said, never say never, but we will see what their situation is like.
Interesting point. You guys both make great points arguing for your players. But now I do want to ask you both, who is the best turnaround, Dusty May or Signetti? Does anyone take the first vote?
So you brought this question up to me a couple of days ago, and I really thought hard and well about it. This is a difficult question. I think these two coaches are very, very similar in a way. They're both very extremely impressive coaches in this sport that have turned around their teams. Dusty May took an 8-24 last year Juwan Howard team and turned it around to a 27-10 Sweet 16 team, and then the absolute dominance. I'll get into it a little bit, but the absolute dominance in the national champions this year. Signetti took quite possibly the worst team in Power 5 football, turned them into national championships in 2 years. Dusty May, I think it's very difficult to compare these two coaches because they're very two different sports. I'm not afraid to say that I think winning a March Madness is way more impressive than winning a CFP. I think this year's Michigan team was just so good as a top team all throughout the year. Coaching a lot of the time requires consistency. Dusty May was consistent with bringing these players and using their skill sets a lot to form a great team. I talked about this team on a previous Hall Zone on the Final Four panel. This team was just dominant is the only word I can put, is because they were just so dominant. I would say they're the best Michigan team ever, better than the Fab Five, but I might be too young to say that, to mention that. But yeah, Dusty May he was so good at adapting all good players this year, and I really liked what he did.
Well. Yeah, I think when you look at this argument, there's really two ways to break it down. So Michigan basketball had the second best transfer portal class in the country. Dusty May went and did it by going and getting other talent and bringing it in. That is how Michigan got their way up to the national championship. Indiana, on the other hand, well, yes, you had important pieces like Fernando Mendoza and Pat Coogan, who came in this year compared to last year and Curt Cignetti's first year. They mostly did it by Cignetti building up the guys that he mostly brought from JMU the previous year, getting them more acclimated to his system, especially a lot of the guys that he brought in from other schools, and that's how they got it done. Indiana had a brutal loss in the college football playoffs 2 years ago against Notre Dame. It was an incredible year. They set a school record 11 wins and ultimately left with the conversation being, instead of, oh my gosh, Indiana just went from the worst Power 5 team ever to making the playoffs. Instead, the argument last year was, does Indiana even really deserve to be here? And the argument was only getting worse when Indiana, overall with talent, when you take in the transfer portal and freshman recruiting, finished 13th out of 18 in the Big Ten. Schools like Rutgers, Maryland, and Wisconsin, I can't even believe I'm saying this, they didn't even make a bowl game and still finished higher in these rankings than Indiana. And in my personal opinion, building a program within is so much more impressive to me than going in and bringing established guys. Cignetti took a huge swing at Fernando Mendoza. I mean, there were signs of his game at Cal, but 3,000 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, and a team that didn't even make a bowl game doesn't really scream Heisman potential winner right there.
Yeah.
And the fact that he turned this team into what it was, I mean, he basically took the same D-line, the same O-line, the same receivers. He lost Miles Price, he lost Curtis Rourke, but it was the same general roster outside of Coogan and Mendoza for the most part, and he made them national champions. 17-0. They had to take on 4 teams that finished in the top 15 of transfer and freshman recruiting rankings, including Oregon, Alabama, Ohio State, and Miami, and just dominated them in their road to a national championship in the postseason. So from my stand, I think building from within and negating the transfer portal outside of a couple major additions, no doubt, is far more impressive to me.
See, here's the thing. College football is very different than college basketball because how the transfer portal and NIL work. It's obviously changing how we love the sports and stuff like that, but that's besides the point. The average age of Indiana's football team last year was 23 years old. That is really, really old. I swear, like, all of these football players are transferring schools or trying to get another year. I think Trinidad Chambliss is on his 8 millionth year of college football. It's ridiculous. But average age of 23, that's pushing NFL numbers. The Green Bay Packers' average age is 25. That is only 2 years less. That is ridiculous. Cignetti had a lot of experience on that team, which helped them win the championship. That's not negating them from saying that it's not impressive at all, but I think it helps a whole lot. Dusty May's average was 20. Yes, different sport, a lot of less players. But like I just kept thinking, whenever I was watching Indiana football games, I kept thinking back to that number 23 because they're not college students. They're not college students. They're grown men who should be in the league by now or should be out of college football, and they're on a college football team winning games. It stayed in my head a lot of the time. All that said, it's still really impressive what Cignetti has done.
Yeah, and then to harp on a point, I thought you were going to go a little more on that NIL money right there, because Indiana football got a budget cut, which is just so much more impressive when you hear this. They got a budget cut to $10 million in football last year because their basketball team spent $32 million on the team. They had the number one NIL fund in basketball in order to finish the Mike Woodson buyout, hire Tanner DeVries and all his staff, and to get all of the other the transfer players that they needed. So I just think when you factor in the limited resources they had and the fact that they were able to ball on a budget and take a huge swing at guys like Fernando Mendoza and Pat Coogan, who were only 2-star recruits out of high school, I mean, what Curt Cignetti did will just flat out never be done again.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So would you guys get your last thoughts on the topic for who you think is more likely to win the championship?
I think all I got to say is these have been the two, in my opinion, two of the best coaches of last year's sports, probably in the last 5 years. These coaches have done is absolutely insane. And I really love this question that you brought it to me. I mean, these two coaches have done an exceptional job. Curt Cignetti went from a non-power school, won the national championship 2 years later. Dusty May, they did the exact same thing at FAU, going to Michigan, winning championships. Two of the best coaches in sports in general for the past 5 years. I think, yeah.
Yeah, and then, I mean, just like you said, the demeanor that these coaches present themselves with. I mean, you hear Dusty May talk about his team all the time. It is a true brotherhood at Michigan. And there's no doubt, especially when you said, like Signetti did, building a team that was the worst team in Power 5 and making them national champions, being the first 17-0 team ever. I mean, he's going to have a statue outside of Memorial Stadium.
100%.
And I think that the way Michigan basketball is trajectorying, I wouldn't put it past it for Dusty May to have something similar at the Chrysler Center.
Good to know. That is all from us at Anchor Point tonight. I'm Paul Brignola with Sam Stinson and Wilco Hooley. Thank you for tuning in, and now we'll toss it over to our friends at Open Discussion. Welcome back, everyone, to Deckside Chats. I am Paul Brignola, and I will be joined by Anthony Vega.
Hello.
And Cameron Price.
Hello.
How are we all doing today? We all good? We're all excited?
I could be doing better. I could be doing a lot better as well.
I've got some good thoughts, and I've got some very strong thoughts. I'll start off with that.
Interesting. So first, I do want to ask everybody here, the NBA, the regular season has wrapped up. The play-in tournament and the playoffs are around the corner. So I want to get everybody's thoughts. Are any teams that stick out to you for the NBA playoffs?
Well, there's one team in particular that sticks out, and it's a bit of a boring pick, but it's also, in my eyes, the correct pick. The defending champion, Oklahoma City Thunder, finished this year 64-18, the best record in the NBA, led by the reigning and soon-to-be future back-to-back MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, averaging 31.1 points per game, 6.6 assists per game, 1.4 steals per game, shot an astounding 55.3% from the field and 38.6% from three. In my eyes, for my bet, there's nobody better in the world than this guy. Another year of leading the Thunder to 60 wins, now with the hopes of going back-to-back. And pairing along with him is a former top draft pick in Chet Holmgren, made his first All-Star team this year, really fully broke out and was able to stay healthy, averaged 17.1 points per game along with 8.9 rebounds. And the real secret for this team, the return of Jalen Williams, going back to that All-Star form. Missed the beginning of the year with a wrist injury. We've seen what Jalen Williams can do with that big 40-point playoff game he had last time. This Thunder team seems like it's set for another deep run, and with the playoffs running through Oklahoma City again, I'm confident in these guys to do it again.
The Thunder has been popping off. What do you think, Cam?
Yeah, the Thunder has been doing really good. They're obviously the favorites. They are the powerhouse of this league. It could be the next dynasty like the Warriors. I have a feeling it's going to be Boston, though, because ever since Jason Tatum came back, they have Jaylen Brown, who's having an MVP caliber season. And they shot up into the second seed of the Eastern. Even though Eastern is a little weaker than the West, I have a feeling that at Boston, they just have a complete team. They've been in the playoffs before. They've won the chip before. They have that experience. I'm not saying that Thunder don't have that experience, because they definitely do. They won it last year, but I feel like Boston, ever since Jason Tatum came back, they have that entire momentum that they brought into the regular season, which I feel like they're going to bring into the playoffs.
Both of you make some very fair points. For me, I'm going to have to stick with the New York Knicks. I know. The New York Knicks, they have a lot to offer. I mean, they got Jaylen Brown, Karl Anthony Towns. They have people and weapons that could make it work. Even if they've recently lost two of their match recently, which could have helped them, they're still playing the Hawks. I still believe they have a good chance. I believe that what they got for me. But there is something I am actually a little concerned about. There is one team I am concerned, and that is the Lakers, because they've recently lost Luka Doncic with a injury, and he is a big person that's helping them. What do you guys think about any other teams to look out for?
I'll start this out. I'm praying for one matchup specifically in the second round, that being the San Antonio Spurs to play the Denver Nuggets. The hope for them, two teams to absolutely destroy the life out of each other.
Really?
San Antonio, 62-20, Victor Wembanyama having an incredible year. Finally being able to stay on the court. Last year he had those very scary blood clots that took him out for a long time. This year kind of showing who we all think he will be, which is this monster, alien freak of nature basketball player. And really, what better way to test that and get him the playoff experience than, for my bet, the second best player in the league, Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, a team that has that playoff experience, winning the championship back in 2023. I'm really hoping we see that matchup, although there's the possibility with who Denver is going to be playing in the first round, the Minnesota Timberwolves, another incredible young team with Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, who I believe is a little bit questionable, and if he'll start the series for the team, but that should be another fun one, a rematch, too, of the 2024 Western Conference Finals.
One team I'm actually not really looking forward to is the New York Knicks, because as I was looking, when I watched the regular season games, the New York Knicks has this trend where they would either play the Denver Nuggets or just like any team, and they would be the best team imaginable. Like, you feel like you couldn't beat them. Cat is going off. Jalen Brunson's going off as always. OG Anunoby's going off. But then it'll be like the next couple of games or like the next game in general when they're playing like the Kings, and they will play like the worst team possible. Which I have a feeling if they keep on doing that in the playoffs, they might not even make it past the first round. Even though the Hawks aren't as scary like with Trae Young, they're still a decent team that made the playoffs for a reason. Not the play-in, they made the playoffs for a reason. And if the Knicks keep on the Knicks keep on playing back and forth, like either the best team and the worst team, they have to find to be the best team like each and every single time.
Speaking of a roller coaster of emotions, the MLB has been turning up the past few games, so I know you're both itching for this one. What are your thoughts? You want the first shot?
I want to talk about the New York Yankees.
Oh dear.
They first started off as one of the hottest teams in baseball, 8-2. They're looking like they're having another historic, possibly World Series season. But then these past couple games, you have players not doing well, like Jazz Chisholm, Randall Grichuk, who hasn't even had a hit yet. You have Austin Wells, who came off a very decent WBC. And when he went to the Yankees, now he's starting to act like he can't even hit a baseball at all. Then you have Jose Cabrera, who did do decent last year, but has a 170 batting average this year. The only two players that are doing good hitting wise is Ben Rice and Judge. Ben Rice has been leading the Yankees with batting average, hits, OBS, slugging. Judge has been doing what he's doing best. His batting average is not really that well at 233, but he still has the 6 home runs. But I want to mostly talk about Jazz Chisholm. He promised a 50-50 season, and he has not hit a single home run yet, and he has been batting 180. And I saw on the post-game interview, how do you not know about the rules about throwing to first and not knowing the rules about the double play there? Like, you're a major league player. You're supposed to know that rule since you're in Little League. And I'm not stopping at Jazz Chisholm. I want to also talk about Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone, we've seen this before. Terrible managing. We've seen this 2024 Game 1 of the World Series where he put in a Nestor Cortez where he was out for months during injury. And instead of putting in a red-hot Tim Hill, he's still doing it. He benched Ben Rice multiple games against lefty, which why bench your best hitter, one of the best hitters in the league? I just don't understand. I don't understand what's going through his mind. I don't understand why I just don't understand.
I agree. Ben Rice has been carrying the Yankees. I thought this season it would be Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge has done phenomenal, but seeing that bit of a decline with Aaron Judge does not help at all because he cannot do everything. I do agree that Ben Rice has been doing a lot of the heavy work for them, but Anthony, what do you think?
You took the words right out of my mouth for a bunch of guys. As of when we're filming this, Randall Grichuk, 0 for 16, 7 strikeouts and 1 walk to start the year. But he's not the only player I really want to focus on. Ryan McMahon. You acquire him at last year's trade deadline. He has started out the year 5 for 46 with 15 strikeouts, has not hit a single home run. He has an OPS plus of 12. But if we're going off the metric of WAR, the three of us sitting here right now are more valuable to the New York Yankees than Ryan McMahon has been to start the year. That's absolutely insane for a man that you brought in to be a defensive first guy who you would take whatever you could get with offensively, but you at least would hope with something. I understand it's a transition going from Colorado to New York, but still, this is a former All-Star that we're talking about. Batting well below the Mendoza line, it's unforgivable here right now.
It's unforgivable. I also want to talk about the bullpen because the starting pitchers have been amazing. Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, they're doing what they should be doing. But the bullpen, Jake Bird finally got sent down to AAA because he's been having a terrible season, blowing leads, letting up a home run like almost each and every pitch that he got in. Then you have Bednar, who's doing decent, but he's not doing what a closer should be doing. He has an over 5 ERA, which closers do have a bloated ERA, but as our closer, you should be shutting them out. You shouldn't be letting the runs in. Yeah. Then you also have it's just the bullpen. They need to step it up. The hitting step up. Everything just needs to step up for the Yanks.
Yeah, no, I agree. It has been very tough for the Yanks. But do you have any other thoughts?
I mean, that summed it up perfectly. Something has to change with this team. I wanted to leave it out with this. Out of the original opening day lineup, 4 players currently are above average in terms of OPS plus. Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and Trent Grisham, who is barely over that 100 OPS plus mark after a 2 home run game last night. Yeah. It's just something's got to change with them. More consistency from it's one day it's the bullpen's great, and the offense can't hit. The next day it's the offense is finally waking up, and then the bullpen just can't pitch to save their life.
Like I said, it's been a weird roller coaster, but that is all we have for tonight. Once again, I'm Paul Brignola, joined by Anthony Vega and Cameron Price. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and have a great night.